there! Today we will tackle many questions about brushes, how to choose them correctly, how to use them, and most importantly, how to extend their lifespan. This is a sore spot for so many of us because, let's be real, poor care sends our beloved brushes to an early grave way too fast, and then we're stuck shelling out for new ones over and over. It's not cheap. The main problem? Figuring out how to choose the brush and how to keep it in tip-top shape. So today we're sorting it all out together and putting these brush dilemmas to rest once and for all. Let's get started. Brushes follow the same story as Eiffel bits. There are tons of them, all different, and each has its own purpose. The first thing that sets them apart is the bristles. Think of it as a kind of classification. They're either synthetic or natural. Synthetic brushes are softer, making them ideal for applying base coats and liquid materials. On the other hand, natural bristles are better suited for denser materials like gel or polygel. And these flat brushes are total champs when it comes to working with base, gel, polygel, or just laying down some wide strokes. But if you're aiming to slay a French or sketch out some fine lines, you'll need those skinny brushes. Personally, I use a 22mm brush for outlining the smile line and a 6mm one for filling it in. So what's the difference between different bristle types and how do you pick the right one? It all depends on the task. But there's a general rule. The longer the bristles, the longer and straighter the lines you can create. So if precision is your priority, pay attention to the bristle length. It's the key to nailing those clean moves. Now let's talk about gradient brushes. Their special feature is that the bristles are dense at the base but gradually thin out towards the tip. That setup lets you blend colors smooth as butter, giving you that flawless fade and a gorg transition. Flat brushes also come in different bristle lengths, and the shorter the bristles, the stiffer they are. To save yourself the headache, just grab a medium-length one. It's the ultimate all-rounder. This type is perfect for applying gel or polygel. For those delicate fine lines under the cuticle, a French tip, or anything intricate, reach for linear brushes. The rule's simple. The longer the line you want to draw, the longer the bristles should be. Easy peasy. Now let's break it down visually. How bristle length and thickness affect different brushes. First up, the Saga 9mm. A skinny little queen, perfect for tiny details and super fine lines. Next, a 6mm brush, but with a thicker bristle, meaning the lines it creates will be slightly wider. You probably won't get an extremely fine line with it, but it holds more product, allowing you to drag longer lines effortlessly. And then there's the 16mm brush, which is perfect for creating thin, long lines. By the way, you can adjust the thickness of the line just by changing the pressure on the brush. And of course, a brush from AliExpress, because how could we not? I had to test it for you girls. It's actually the only brush from AliExpress that has survived and still works perfectly. And you know what? It's a total win. It's the only brush I use for French. The bristle length here is 22mm. You can also control the thickness of the line by adjusting the pressure. For a thin line, just glide the brush lightly. Need a thicker one? Add a bit more pressure. Now onto flat brushes, starting with the gradient champ. Dip that brush into gel polish and the first strokes come out bold and dense. Then, bit by bit, it releases less material, fading into that smooth, dreamy gradient. Flat brushes for gel work the same way, handing over the material nice and gradual. But here's the twist. The longer the bristles, the softer the stroke. And trust me, even a 3mm difference can totally change the game. A brush with shorter bristles will apply the product more firmly and feel stiffer. So experiment, play around, and find your perfect match. Let's go over some of the most frequently asked questions real quick. How do you unpack a new brush before first use? Some nail techs recommend cleaning it with a base coat or top coat, while others suggest using a cleanser. But here's the catch. Most brushes come with a factory-applied adhesive that holds the bristles in place, and improper unpacking can damage them. Avoid randomly pressing the bristles and never use sharp objects to remove the glue. Many of the bristles will bend or break before you even get to use them. And then the brush won't perform as it should. Might even need some CPR to bring it back. Instead, gently separate the bristles using soft circular motions without applying too much pressure. This applies to all brushes. Thin, flat, you name it. After that, lightly dab the bristles against your finger or a dry tissue until the fine dust-like residue stops falling out. That's actually the glue used to lock the bristles in place during manufacturing. Now what about cleaning with a base or top coat? Base coat is great for synthetic brushes. It helps condition the bristles and prepares them for applying base or gel. Top coat, not so much. It doesn't effectively remove glue, might leave residue inside the bristles, and won't properly prepare the brush for smooth, precise work. Thin brushes require the same care routine. First, separate the bristles gently with your fingers, then tap the brush to remove any remaining glue. This method will ensure your brushes last a long time and the bristles won't start sticking out in all directions. How do you properly protect your brushes from dust and UV exposure while working, especially when the lamp is right next to you? To protect your brushes from UV rays, never leave them next to or inside the lamp. Those ultraviolet beams can polymerize leftover gel polish or base on the bristles, ruining your tool for good, like a one-way ticket to the trash. Keep them stashed in a dark spot where sunlight can't sneak in. Think a desk drawer or a closed case. Even those little plastic caps are there for a reason. They protect the bristles from dust and deformation. So don't sleep on them or toss them out like I used to. It was a rookie mistake. Learn from my fails and keep those caps in the game. People often ask me, which brands should I go for? Honestly, I've worked with all sorts. Fancy ones, budget picks, even those sketchy little brushes from AliExpress. And here's the main thing I've noticed. Always pick quality brushes with top-notch bristles. You don't want those pesky hairs shedding mid-work, especially when you're working with thick materials. Here's what happens when brushes are not properly used, cleaned, or stored. The bristles get deformed, looking like they've been through a war zone, practically begging for mercy and a quiet retirement. And this is how brushes look when they are well cared for. Brushes will last a long time, only if they are used and stored under the right conditions. So what makes a brush truly good? First, it's all about bristle density. The hairs need to be packed tight, refusing to shed or pluck out mid-work like some dramatic diva. Second, resilience. When you press on the bristles, they should immediately spring back to their original shape, just like a tiny spring. If after pressing down, the bristles don't spring back or they bend, fray, or fluff out, don't even think about buying that brush. It's a hard pass. Next up, the attachment of the bristles is key. It's gotta be rock solid. The hairs evenly secured, no weird kinks or bends that shouldn't be. This applies to all brushes, even the super thin ones. You need to see that the bristles are locked in tight with quality. It's frustrating when you buy a new brush and within a week the ferrule just falls off. That's why I prefer monolithic brushes. They've got my vote for staying loyal through thick and thin. Now let's talk about the handle and the material it's made of. This is just as important. A good quality handle shouldn't peel, crack, or break over time. It should feel comfortable in your hand, like a natural extension of it. A shorter handle is often better for precise, detailed work, while a longer one provides more control, making it ideal for broader strokes and fine, delicate lines. So when choosing a brush, always pick it up and test how it feels in your hand. Comfort really matters. Some brushes have a painted coating that can start peeling if exposed to certain liquids, so keep an eye on that. And if your favorite brush has suddenly spread its bristles like a butterfly opening its wings and you just can't bring yourself to throw it away, don't worry. There's a rescue method I'll show you in the second part of the video. So make sure to subscribe so you don't miss this life-saving hack. So, which brush is best for base and which for gel? When it comes to nailing the perfect base brush, go nylon. It's your trusty sidekick, no question. But here's the kicker. Check the bristle bounce, press down on those hairs. They should snap back into shape. If you're working with thick materials, you'll need a stiffer brush, meaning one with natural bristles, because a soft brush simply won't handle the consistency of builder gel. They'll just flop around like a wet noodle and leave you frustrated. Can you use the same brush for both colored gel and base? Honestly, no, that's not a great idea. Gel and base have completely different consistencies. Base coats are usually much more liquid, which means you need different brushes. For gel, we use a stiffer natural bristle, while for base and other textures, synthetic brushes work best. They're softer and make application smoother and more comfortable. Also, colored gel pigment tends to get trapped in the bristles, which could stain your clear base the next time you use it. So now you know everything about different types of brushes and how to choose the perfect one for your work. But I've saved the most interesting part for the next video. Imagine your fave brush starts looking like a mop or bending so much that it feels like it's only good for graffiti on street corners. In the next video, I'll show you how to bring even the most hopeless brushes back to life. You'll learn how to restore your brush to its perfect shape in just 5 minutes, how to properly care for your brushes so they last much longer, and most importantly, the biggest mistakes we all make. Yep, even you. So, don't sleep on this, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you don't miss out the next video. While you're waiting, drop your brush struggles in the comments below. The 3 comments with the most likes will be featured in the next video, where I'll show you exactly how to fix your specific issue. So don't just wait, like the comments from other girls if their struggles sound familiar to you. And on that note, I won't keep you any longer. Bye, beauties!